Hey, what's up? And I want to welcome you to Soundoff. It's your boy K Paper Chase here. And today we're going to church again. So today's build is going to be about church, and it's going to be part three. All right. So what I want to talk about today is just about God. This is Sunday. We're going to talk about God, but I wanted to talk about the God of the Bible. All right. So because we sort of talked about it last week, but I was kind of talking about how everybody is born in different culture, and depending on the culture that you're born in, and however you're born, that's usually what you believe in. So we were trying to figure out, I guess, the right belief, or just trying to cross-reference stuff and see, which one should you believe, because there are so many different religions and gods, and even among the Christianities, there's 10,000 different Christianities, I think. So let's talk about it. All right, so you all can read that, right? So 5,000 gods being worshipped today. And that's just today, and that's a very conservative number. So I read numbers like 33,000, But yeah, but there are over 5,000 gods being worshipped today, but you don't have anything to worry about. I'm not trying to change your beliefs or anything like that. We're just trying to do some critical thinking here and just see if we can go back a little bit further than the Bible. Okay. So over antiquity, the God has been called by different names. So some of the names that God has been called, there's quite a few of them. So basically, what I wanted to do, I wanted to see how the God of the Bible stacks up against other gods, because there are other religions. Like I said, there are even other faiths within the Christian faith. So I just wanted to see, how it stacks up. So it's so many different names. See, Esther's gonna be mad. She'd be mad at me when I talk like this. But hey, we gotta tell the truth. So these are some of the names. Like I said, I try to keep it, under the Catholic and the Protestant religions, because I feel like most people are under that umbrella, being Christians. So these are just some of the names that have been used. And depending on where these people are from and depending on their particular, sect or, religion is what they call, their creator. So as far as what I say, my where I'm sitting at right now is that the God of the Bible is not the highest God. We have to kind of go back a little bit further. I just want to push it back a little bit more. So y'all just walk with me. The thing about the God in the Bible is that there's a lot going on in the Bible that makes me think that instead of us being created in God's image, God was created in our image. A truly benevolent God wouldn't be jealous, wouldn't have favorites. He wouldn't come off like he does in the Bible. And then I don't know if people notice it, but he actually says in the Bible, don't worship any other gods. So if those are the words of God, he's saying don't worship any other gods, then obviously there are some more gods. So what I tend to think is like a kind of demiurge. If you all haven't heard of demiurge, demiurge is it's another train of thought, and that's that the God that created the earth was he was both. He was the God and the devil. So that actually makes more sense to me to say that God was a demiurge, because that would be that balance. God was a demiurge. That means he would be good and bad. That means that he was created by something higher than him. And then if you look, it does really make sense, because if you look at it, they say the demiurge is androgynous. So that would be the man and the woman, just like the yin and yang, just like everything day and night, it's opposites. So that does make sense that he could be the opposite, but that thing the creator of this earth would be more like a demiurge type god. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And then, even when you go back, okay, let's say it was the demiurge, something had to create the demiurge. So if we're saying the demiurge is the creator of this earth, of this particular experience, then it's something that created the demiurge. So my thing is just to think about it. What if God of the Bible is really the devil? Because even in the Bible, it'll say that God went he cast the devils down. What if that's really the devil that created it? Because, like I said, if we look in the Bible, it's so much devilish stuff to be going on. I mean, even the stuff that God says, that was my issue with worshiping that God in the Bible, because I'm not going to worship a God that gets jealous just like me. You have these feelings, you feel in some kind of way, you have your favorite people, you got favoritism. There's so much stuff that's going on. So I mean, that's like human. So I had to go back a little bit further, you know what I'm saying, just to see, okay, before that. All right, so I think before that, let's just say it was the demiurge. So the demiurge is the good and the bad, that created this earth. But even before the demiurge, if we go back to antiquity, the gods that were worshipped way, like I said, back in back in the day. So if we look back, there were women. So these gods were actually women that they worshiped back in the day before the God of the Bible and before the demiurge. So it said God was a woman. So if you really think about it, just walk with me here. That does make more sense because here on the earth, we're born by a woman. It doesn't really make sense, the biblical story, to say that God is just a single man up there by himself, no wife, nothing like that. It would make sense if you put it in the demiurge category because then he would be able to create. But if you're not going to say that, that means that the God of the Bible is a man. Somehow he came up with Adam and Eve. And then what he did, he gave Adam a womb on Adam so that Adam could have Eve. See, now that sounds like that bullshit that's going on now, as far as people trying to make the men have the babies. That sounds totally backwards to me. As a concept, that's why you have to go back further than the Bible, y'all, because it's a concept called as above, so below. It's a hermetic principle. Definitely read up on those because it does make sense. So everything that happens on earth happens also above. So we mimic what's going on above. And on this earth, we're not born from a man. We're born from a woman. So what happened was in the corruption of religion, they kicked out the woman. They changed all these women deities to male deities. Well, before they even changed to the male deities, they changed it to the androgynous, like right here. So they'll change it to an androgynous god, like the demiurge, and then eventually, we worship all men. But antiquity, it was not like that. So I definitely think that the God of the Bible was created by another God. Yeah, so it's real interesting, man. I just been, just studying this, reading up on it. I always thought it was something more to it. Because like I said, I always felt that the God of the Bible was too much like me. And if we were creating his image, he can't be totally benevolent and all this good stuff if he has these human traits. So, that was just something I said I have to go back a little bit further. Even we look right here, my eye. Okay, that's a one of the first few gods that was a female. Yeah, this is like back in ancient Egypt, before the Bible. Um, and this is Ma'at. So Ma'at is one of those gods that actually came before that they used to worship, and eventually this turns into a man too. So we just gotta watch what's happened over the years and see how we came from a society that basically, came from a world that basically worshiped the woman as above, so below, to something that has us worshiping a single male deity. And somehow this male deity is just a single male. You just create kids and everything. So that wouldn't really make sense unless that deity is more of a demiurge type. So yeah, so you say, what is demiurge? like I said, I feel like the Demiurge would sort of be like a middleman. That would be sort of like, so he would have to have good and bad. So that's why it goes back to that same concept. Can God be the devil? I mean, really, if you think about it, it's the same thing. Even at the very least, God created evil. Even if you go back to the Christian concept and say, okay, we're going to forget all this other stuff, God created evil. And there's a problem with evil because you have to have evil. Therefore, God can't be totally benevolent without having some kind of evil. So I think the main thing that we get out of this is, I guess, just trying to have balance. Because, like I said, what if you grow up and you're such a fanatic, you don't have any balance, you don't have the ears to hear anything else and look at anything else, and without that balance, it'll mess you up because you might be too on one thing, and that might not even be what's happening or what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So I think of God or the true creator is more like nature. It's all of us. It encompasses everything, and it's nature. Um, I don't think that the true creator, our creator, is necessarily in our everyday lives, like judging everything we do. I got this concept from Brother Sanchez, and it made a whole lot of sense. All right, so imagine you're God, right? So you're God, and you want to imagine a world. So in that world that you imagine, everything's made on thought anyway. You imagine this world. So just imagine a world in your head, right? Just imagine a city. All right. So the people in your city, they're going, they're moving, they're doing your own thing. As a creator, you don't have to imagine or even think about every little part of the city. So you don't have to be the actual person that's down there, all the people that's down there, everything that's going on. You don't have to think about that. You don't have to create families or anything like that. Once you put your imagination to it and you say, hey, I created it, it's already created and everything is created at the same time. So I think that that makes a lot of sense to me right now. So that's just what I've been going on. So it's more of a way of nature. And see, good or bad is what we consider on this earth. Suppose it's like an animal. This animal, this little bitty baby rabbit fell out the nest, and now the alligator's going to eat it. We'll say, oh man, that's so cruel. That's not cruel though. That's my art. That's the balance. That's got to happen. So in order for us to be truly successful, is no such thing as all good. You can't be all good. I think most of us try to shoot to be more good than bad, and we probably end up like halfway. But the whole thing is to have that balance, and that's what this God Ma'at was about the balance. Sometimes you'll see her on the scale, and she was deified and she was worshipped back in the day. Mm-hmm. So come to say that God of the Bible isn't the only God. There are hundreds or thousands of other deities. That's not necessarily the same thing. And it's just good to be open. But when you go back to I try to say, okay, now who created it all though? Like what happened? Was it the primordial waters? That something just happened? We try to go back with that. And the thing is, I guess it always was. And like I was saying, going back to that same train of thought, the idea that made the most sense to me is that the creator created himself and the creation at the same time. Because God can't be a creator until he creates. So before the creation, which was us, there was nothing because he didn't become creator till he created or till it created. And I'm not trying to quantify God or anything. We're just used to saying he, like we're worshiping this dude, man. It's crazy. So when he created everything, he created at the same time. And like I said, he's not thinking about every little person. Okay, we got to make sure he goes to school today. No, he creates it on a bigger level. And we kind of like do everything ourselves. So it's almost like a simulation. We're going to talk about the simulation theory too. And I know you're getting mad, Aunt Esther, but it's just what it is, man. You got to put down that outdated Bible and just try to look at some more stuff that's going on. Because we got to see what's going on today. And that shit will keep you stuck somewhere up in the air, looking, worrying about going to hell instead of being right here on the earth. So that was the best thought that I had. Like I said, what Brother Sanchez came up with. And when he created, everything was just already created at the same time. So he didn't go individually and say, hey, I'm gonna create this person, this person. Once he created, it was old people, it was young people, it was babies, everything was just created. So that's how I think it happened. Now, as far as before that, like I said, some people say, there was waters, primordial waters, or there was some kind of ripple or something like that. I mean, I really don't know. So my thing is kind of like to work my way back. But I want to go further than the Bible because the further we go, it's just getting more back to our roots. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so at the very least, the God of the Bible would have to be a demiurge. No, he can't be the most high, has too many human qualities, too many human traits. So we know that can't be the true creator that's benevolent and all knowing, because a benevolent, all knowing God wouldn't behave that way. And it's okay to question it, y'all. It's not that serious. I mean, you just got to think about it. I know that cognitive dissonance is kicking in, but you just think about it. It makes sense. What would you worship? Are you going to worship something that has human traits like you, or are you going to just try to see something a little bit higher than that? Because you would never be able to get above that point. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, so I think the demiurge, or God that created this earth, was probably yeah, it was probably androgynous, was the demiurge, and was cast down, was the devil, or at the very least, the demiurge, half good and half bad. And that makes more sense because that's how we do it now on earth, as above, so below. And like I said, you really want to look at that stuff because a lot of those principles, it explains a lot of stuff and it makes a whole lot more sense, than the religious story. So definitely check that out. So I just want us to have, as much power, and I just as we can. I want us to go back further to what we were indoctrinated with. Y'all got to remember this was given to us, so it's nothing wrong with looking back to say, hey, before King James Bible, what was really going on? So there's nothing wrong with that, man. And Aunt Esther, she's still mad. She's gonna stay mad, but that's all right though. But I don't think our true creator is the God of the Bible. It just doesn't make for me. It doesn't. I mean, you do your thing, you do what you do, but just know that as long as you're worshiping a God that's selfish and has favors and all that, you're gonna always have those traits. You're not gonna be able to rise above if that's what you're worshiping. So think about it. I was gonna call this third Sunday because this was my third church. This was part three, but I said, nah, it's gonna be like that communion stuff. We'll make people think it's communion. And I talked about that communion story in part two. So check it out. All right, so this is my creator. This is what I think. Well, I know that there's a creator, and I know that the creator, the most high, is infinite. So the creator is in all of us. We all creators, and we have the creator in us. It's everything. It can't be quantified, described, or given human traits. Because then what happens is you're worshiping man, and you don't want to worship man. Worship yourself. You can worship man and the God within you. Bring it out. Yeah, man, I was just up early. I just wanted to throw this up on there. I want to thank y'all for joining. I might go live later, but I'm gonna do the preview of this when I do the that premiere of this. I'll be online. So y'all, thanks for tuning in. This is K Paper Chase with Sound Off. Peace.